I was in my chair this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll, that's why I got y'all books early, cause I knew y'all may have questions.
Well,
Hey, Miss Christine.
looked at, to be honest with you, 120 pages, but they usually come up.
Yeah, we-
They give us
we-
about
we-
10-page summary.
I want to.
Yeah, their recommendations, what we've always done.
And
You
then
put that on the
book,
camera.
They give
Yeah,
you
what I'm saying is
the way they
wallpaper.
found it.
I did read that.
Yeah, I read
I read
that.
some,
Yeah.
that's what I read.
And I'll have your
The part about the
confidential.
clerk and stuff, but I think everybody knew about that.
I'll have your confidential, management letter
Yeah, that's not a
after
problem.
that too.
That's not a problem.
Thank you.
I have.
I forget about my glasses. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. There is no visual on this meeting at all, it's just audio as if it would be recorded. I think we need to try to work on video, audio versus video, it's a little bit better. In any event, let's go ahead and open up with prayer, Mr. Lee.
Let's bow our head. Our Father who art in heaven, we thank you, dear God, this morning. We thank you for life. We thank you for health, and we thank you for strength. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings you bestowed us upon us, because there are many. If we begin to thank you one by one, we will miss something, Lord, because you've been awfully good to us, and we do want to show you that we appreciate it. Now, Heavenly Father, we want to ask that as we enter into this meeting this morning, that we do the things that are pleasing in your sight, that we say the things that's pleasing in your sight, even the thoughts that we think. Let them be pleasing in your sight as well. Heavenly Father, these are many of the blessings. We pray in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Okay, come on, Mr. Liz, we gotta, just a little bit. We have, our first, appearance is by our auditor, Ms. Crystal Powell.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
If possible, you know, we talked about transferring from the, part-time, but from Marva, make up a little bit for the salary. I've done that on the spreadsheet, so the salary part, just for the payroll would be the $49,1580. And of course, you know, all the, FICA and county retirement, all that changes when you do that kind of stuff, so. And I want to make sure that can be done, I'm just reiterating if that can be done. For taxes and software for QS1, I want to make sure that that's get approved, cause that's mandated, you know, that's something I can't help. The forms and supplies from QS1 went up about $415, so my final amount would be the $31,015.79. That's over last year's. Make copies of these and get these to everybody.
Did you have it?
I don't have this
Y'all got it in
one.
advance, okay.
Yeah.
What you sent me, oh, do I have that one?
Yes,
Oh,
did you send that to everybody,
Yes.
the new one? Does it show the $49,1580 up top for the difference in the,
yeah, 49,1580.
yeah, so everybody should have one of those, I thought I did send that. So that changed my, what I need to $31,015.79.
And it's supported within your existing budget with the exception of these.
That is the bulk of it, is the QS1 software that's gonna have to be implemented because of the way we're having to do the boats and motors.
Well, this, excuse me, I didn't hear, I'm about half sick, I can't half hear. Seriously,
Yeah,
pollen,
that's
ragweed's real bad on the
Oh, okay,
You said that was within your, falls within your budget with the exception of software, is that what you?
No, my
So this is an
payroll was.
increase to your budget,
Yes.
31,000,
Mhm.
where do we plan to get that from?
I don't know, sir.
Cause QS1's the bulk of it, 20,000 of it,
Right.
that's something I've got to have.
That's
That's
something
not
new, that's what our
That's
previous
new
budget,
from
right?
previous budget.
Ma'am?
That's new from the previous budget. This is
Right.
something new for this year.
Madam Supervisor?
Well, I think all of this will come to light once we, get down to the finance, appearance by finance director. I think we'll have some other items that we need to kinda discuss, but as of now, we don't have it.
Okay, so this is your request, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it clear that that's
Alright,
something different from last year that I had to have, so.
we appreciate your time.
All right, well,
Appreciate
thank
your
you.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, have a good day.
The next on our list is the fire department, is he here?
No, they, canceled Rondell, yeah, she's on vacation.
And you know what, let me say this before the next person come in. Just as she came in with something additionally that was not in the previous budget, we're gonna probably have every department head come in with that.
You are.
So we need to have something in place, cause we operating on the budget from last year. So when these things come in, we need to have some kind of contingency plan in place. What are we gonna do?
We don't have a contingency plan now. That is definitely something, and like I said, you'll understand more clear once we get down to the finance report. As we talk about, retirement, workers' comp, insurance,
Right.
all those
That's
things that increased.
Oh, just pick 'em.
Is there anyone from the tax assessor's office here? And if not, we'll take her spot. No, okay.
So the fire department, they cancel
Then
that.
we can.
Yes. They'll get on the next,
Agenda.
yeah.
Got it. Alright, go ahead, finance. So,
Good morning, all. We're back
Good morning.
together again.
Money.
We're back together again. Councilman Floyd, pass that around, please. See, that's, yeah. You can keep that one.
Yeah, I got one in that hand out yesterday. I think I do.
Yeah, it should be, it should.
This the one that you had, or is it an update? Okay.
It's still the same.
It's still the same,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
too.
still the same.
Okay.
I'm here to advise the finance committee of expenses that have not been included in the approved 2019 and 2020 budget. Let's go, we can go line item by line item. We got EMS full-time salaries, FICA retirement at $594,163.18. We have the transfer out to the capital project sales tax of $76,212,000. This is one of 6 annual payments, so that we can pay the capital project sales tax back, the total amount that is due to them, which is about $457,000 approximately. We also have the tax assessor salaries and FICA not budgeted in 2018-2019 budget of $50,848.54. We also have the county reassessment, which is mandated every 5 years. This is a state mandate. The cost of that reassessment is estimated to be $70,972.
May I add, Ms. Etheridge is here if you need to ask questions about that.
Okay.
She's coming up here, if y'all need some questions about
There
it,
you
she's
go.
right
I was
there.
getting ready to say she's invisible, I don't see her.
Sorry.
We also have the auditor's salary and FICA not budgeted in 2018 and 2019, as she mentioned, for $14,257.48.
Let me stop you right there, Liz. Ms. Etheridge just here, she's walking in. I read your memo this morning. It was in my chair when I walked in my office. And we got this $70,000 for reassessment, but I see here on the last paragraph said I will be required to request the county council passes an ordinance extending our reassessment implementation period for 1 year to the year 2021.
That's correct.
So we won't have a reassessment this year, we'll have one in 2021.
That's correct. We don't have
So
enough.
do you still need this $70,000 for reassessment this year if we're not gonna have one?
Yes, because this will allow us to do all the work that we have to do to be able to put it into, implementation in 2021.
Okay, I'm sorry, Liz. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
The next question is, that don't impact us any way negatively, that we didn't get the assessment done in time?
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever gotten it done in time since I've been on council.
We did in
Last time we went like
15.
7 years one time, didn't we?
Yeah, well, no, it was 2 years. We can't
2
go over
years.
2 years. The longest we've ever been is 2 years. But in 2015, we implemented on time, on
Good,
schedule.
okay, good, good. All right, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, the auditor has mentioned earlier that she needed an additional amount of $14,257.48 for salaries and FICA not budgeted in retirement in the 2018-2019 budget. The auditor also has a state mandate for boats and motor software, and that state mandate will cost us $19,446.56. We have South Carolina Retirement System 2020 rate change at $9,961.60. The police officer retirement system rate change of $6,463.91. We have health insurance rate change of $549.60. We have workers' compensation rate change of $51,354. And this is an average utility rate. It may be higher than the 1.1%, but this is just an average. That is $6,918. The total estimated expenses not included in the 2019-2020 budget is estimated to be $976,146.87. If we took, we can probably delay the transfer of the transfer out to the capital project sales tax, so that could get that expense down some. So those are the total estimated expenses not included in the approved budget. What is the desire and recommendation of the Finance Committee?
I have to, I'm going for a loop, I don't know. Sam?
These are all new expenses for the year 2019, that weren't there in 2018?
That is correct, sir.
They were, so this 594,000 wasn't in the 18 budget.
Not the original. It didn't come in until after y'all approved the
Okay.
budget.
$76,000 wasn't in the, well, that was mismanagement of the capital sales project, where they bid all that stuff out, should have been bid out,
Yeah.
is my understanding.
We
How
have to
about the
show
tax
the
assessor
state that
salaries?
we're trying to handle.
Let me ask you a question, because last time we met, I asked you for a list of the number of employees of the county.
Mhm.
Have you been able to put that together yet?
Oh, it's included in the budget. If you look in the 18-19 budget and the 17, but we do have that list.
Okay.
But, in prior years, it's have always been included in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I was looking at that, and I looked on the South Carolina Association of Counties, and and I'm not making a suggestion one way or the other, I was just looking at numbers. I'm not saying let's do this or don't do this, I don't know. But in tier 4, which is 12 counties, Colleton, Jasper, Clarendon, and Williamsburg, we had the second highest number of employees out of 12 counties. Now, how many new employees have we hired in the last 2 years?
Y'all can put, we actually hand that data out to.
And what triggers that is I see, and I'm not picking on anybody, you understand, I'm not picking on any department at all, I'm asking purely for information purposes, cause I don't know, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, I hear a lot of things on the street, and I'd like to dismiss those rumors. I'd like to have facts in my hands when I talk to people, rather than what I hear. I like to, you know, be able to look at folks and say, hey, this department has so many employees this year, and this is how many they got now. This is how much their salaries were then, this is how much they are now. And so if you could pull that information together for me,
When
little-
DC come back,
we
that
ready.
will be the.
I would like to see that.
We
That's
already
one
have
thing
it.
I would like to see.
We already have
And the
that.
copy of from the Association of County
Yeah,
numbers.
we got it right now.
And that was like 16 or 17
Okay.
numbers that I looked at, I don't know what it is today.
Okay.
I pulled up the millage rates for the counties, and a lot of other information, but I guess I could contact the Association of Counties myself, to just see
Okay.
what the current information, and Councilman Woods, you remember in years past, and again, not picking on anybody. Ms. McClary, you remember this, we've had presentations of each department and where the salaries were.
Yeah,
Remember, we were trying to line up the salaries at that time, we were trying to increase everybody's salaries to try to get everybody in line, but some departments were lacking more than others, and some had taken the leaps and some hadn't. I remember, even way back then, the one time, I can't remember if it was, I believe it was Sheriff Johnson, I don't remember, but I know his salary was way behind everybody else's, you know?
Yeah,
And our
that's
goal for that
been
year
some
was to
time.
bring his salary up. But then, and so I just think a good overall roundtable of looking at where each department is just for information purposes would make me feel better.
Now, based on what you so you said that, out of that tier 4, that you looked at, contiguous, not necessarily contiguous county, but county that's comparable to Williamsburg County.
Dallas County's 25,000 to 50,000 citizens
Yes.
is what it was.
And you, where do we rank in that, you said, basically?
On the number of employees, at
Yeah.
that time, we had the second highest number of employees for a county that size.
The second highest.
Second highest. There was only one county with more employees.
Okay, and you don't know if they offer, like, we offer more services than they did or anything,
We
any of
do.
those? We do?
I looked at the same
Okay,
data.
but see those things.
Most
factor
counties
in.
don't have 18 to 20 recycling
Okay,
centers.
see those things factor
Most
in.
counties
as well.
don't have 26 parks.
Right, that's right,
Most counties don't have the number of services
right,
that we
Mhm.
offer. But it's well to take and look at
right.
it, for you to be able
Right.
to defend it
That's
when
right.
it come out.
Right, and so we can look
I
and
agree.
see, and
Mhm.
just like you said, we may have to cut back on a recycling center or two. I don't know, I'm not, again, just to give me an idea of where we can trim fat, cause I don't know where the fat is now.
That's right.
And
You
that may be a
understand?
possibility, because we got
That is right.
a lot of recycling centers, we got a lot of parks that we take care of. Even some of the larger counties don't have as many parks that we have for a small county. They have maybe 3 or 4 major parks.
But I think when I get you that data, cause I pulled the new data, because that was a question
Right.
of our taxpayers.
And,
What is going on with y'all people? How many people y'all hire?
Right.
and I don't want anybody leaving here today saying Councilman
Right.
Floyd said we need to cut employees. That
No,
ain't
no,
what
no,
I'm
no.
saying.
No, no, no.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
I agree.
I wanna look at it, a totality of everything.
That's right.
How many recycling centers, how
And
many
that's-
parks?
Well, let me
how
see
many
why
employees?
we have, do
You know,
what too.
Yeah.
Who makes what, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because I don't have the knowledge at this point to make an informed decision, I don't know, you know?
And that's the reason why we are back at the table.
Right.
So we can see what essential, these are not what we would like to have, these are essential expenses that are not included.
I mean, like Miss Etheridge's request, I'll sit here, Miss Grace Robinson's retired, it's a perfectly legitimate request,
And if-
tax assessor.
And if that's the route we decide to
a
go,
very,
we can cut almost
vital
everything.
part
It
to the
just
county
make it
to
convenient
generate
for the
revenue.
citizens.
No question
That's why
about it.
all those,
You know?
for example, recycle centers,
And-
be
and
for
more-
convenience of the citizens.
It's kinda like an
Now, we can cut
investment,
them all
when
down to
we give you
one,
money,
if you
the
have
more we
to.
give you, the more you
Have
generate.
one
for us.
central site, all the citizens bring their stuff to one central site, if you have to. So it's merely for convenience of the citizens of the Williamsburg County. A lot of services we offer is because of that, and the employees, are you?
40 employees.
Yeah.
Departments, a lot of
Yeah.
employees in that section.
Right, and see, I know, that's what I'm saying, I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm getting them before you leave here, hopefully they can get it down here,
Just
of the
get
new data.
some of it, and I don't have
Okay.
I don't have a recommendation this time, I wanna do some looking and talking, and
Yeah.
of course, I'd like to speak with, who was the lady from Harper Post and Morey that we deal with?
Robin?
Robin, that's right, I couldn't remember her name.
Can I address something?
Sure,
You said?
sure.
In our department, what I did not request, and one of the main reasons I did not request multiple other appraisers, and I was trying to find it before I came, there's a recommendation out there that came from Department of Revenue years ago that says we need one person for every 5,000 parcels as a licensed appraiser. However, that would put us to have 7 appraisers on the road, and at one time, we did have six appraisers on the road.
We have 5.
So I'm not pushing to make that number, but what
Right.
I am pushing is to try to get what we need done, accomplished, to be, we're losing, and Councilman Woods, as you said, was it a negative impact on us? It's not at this point in time right now as far as reassessment, because we'll pick that up. But it is as far as new construction, because we don't have the manpower to get out there and pick it up. The.
Well, you do lose revenue when you fall a year behind it, don't you? Because you can't go up with so much in a year.
Right, you
So,
can't go
I
up
don't remember the rule, but only 15%, so if a property went up 50%, and you missed a year, you don't go up that 50%, you 15% behind each year, so each year that you're behind in the assessment,
Right.
you are behind,
You are
in essence.
This thing is kind of tit for tat.
Right.
It, with the valuation, if it goes up $100,000, we can only go up taxable amount $15,000 more than what's on the record. However, that market value has to be established and put into the system, and the cap has to be then applied to it. Anything that transfers that's not an immediate family transfer and it classifies as an ATI, which is assessable transfer of interest, then it goes on at the 100% of the market value that is assessed at the time of reassessment. So if it was to go up $100,000, then it would get that $100,000 in value.
Okay.
And to clarify also, where I had the contract out there, that was strictly for them to do our commercial properties was the contract. Mr. Stackley is the only other appraiser I have, and he's doing all the residential, and he's got right at 10,000 reviewed, but we still have over 25,000, so there again, on answering the request for the funds, yes, sir, we definitely need that.
Well, the citizens love to see them out in their yard getting those appraisals done.
I know I get phone calls every day.
Well, you have to do what you gotta do
That's right.
legally.
I get them, hey, I get them too.
I know you do.
Let me also mention to y'all that, I have a survey going out to other counties in South Carolina, asking them how many mills or fees they have implemented over the past 3 years. So far, most counties have implemented fees, or they have gone up on their millage. And some counties have taken advantage of what we call the millage payback. You can go back 3 years and you can increase your millage by what the law has allowed you to in small increments. So some of the counties are taking advantage of this. So once we look at all this information, we need to kind of look at the fact, can we go back and reclaim some of the millage that the law is allowing us to take for the past 3 years? So that's also something that we need to look at.
Yeah, and you know, Sam, when you were going through, doing your research or whatever, looking at these counties that's in tier 4, and what the number of employees they have, you might wanna go back to and look at those counties, those same counties, and see how many of them assessed a fee. Cause if I understand it, Bamberg was like us, in a financial deficit and running into problem. They assessed a fee, I think it was $70, a one-time $7 fee. Got them over the gap, over the hurdle. So, something like that, check and see how many counties has done something like that recently.
One-time fee,
Yeah,
okay.
one-time fee. I think they did a one-time fee of $70, cause I was talking, at the conference, I was talking to council members up there, and I think that's what they said they did.
Okay.
Mr. Foy, I'm gonna get you this is the one I pulled offline, you write 2014, so I'm gonna get you an updated
Yeah.
salary.
I wanna say it was 16, if I'm not mistaken, don't hold me to that.
Okay, updated salary list and our update for this administration in comparison to the previous. So that's 2019, 2020.
Prior and current.
He got the current, or prior
Okay.
personnel profile. What else? You want another rundown of all the other service items we may have, service? I must have printed the wrong one for y'all guys, cause we should have had the other table four.
Let me go and, I've just really started looking at some of this stuff.
Yeah, it's on here. Thank y'all.
But I do think it's doable. I was talking to Rusty Smith over there in Florence County, and their budget is basically 58 million. They got almost 140,000 citizens, and they have a $58 million budget. We got a $21 million budget 32,000 citizens. I think it should be managed. And they don't even do a tax anticipated note. They don't borrow money to do it. They say.
They have the financial resources, they have
I'm saying,
a
but they
lot
got
of
$58 million
businesses.
revenue.
Yeah, the revenue base, the industry base is so much different than
I
ours.
understand that, but that's what I'm saying. I'm
Uh-huh.
looking at some of the
Uh-huh.
stuff to see
Okay.
where we compare. You understand? And so, we can make it happen. We can make it happen. We've made it happen every year since I've been here.
To have the
It happened
cash.
this year.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was something me and her were laughing at, cause I always compare my county. And that was something she said, she wants to have money,
Right.
like how we have, what my county have.
Well, that's what we're in here for. I understand that. But those are some things we'll look at.
But the revenues have not been keeping up with the expenditures. So we're gonna eventually have to come up with a plan, a solid plan to address that.
We addressed that 3 years ago. We said no new hires, and if anyone is fired or retires, we don't replace them. That was done 3-4 years ago, but we were warned by the auditor that was coming, that the revenue was coming down and employees were staying the same. Do you remember that, Councilman Woods?
But
I
that
don't-
was only for one fiscal year. That was not a permanent decision, Councilman Floyd.
I respectfully
was-
disagree with you on that. And I think my colleagues would back me up on that, because it was a trend, you could see it. The county was losing 500 to 600 people a year, and has for the last 7 or 8 years. It's just steady decreasing in population. So you can't, when you decrease in population, you can lose revenue stream, and you can't maintain the same number of employees at that time. You can't. I mean, that was
Well, if that-
implemented.
Yeah, we'll get a
remember
copy of that,
plainly.
Council, cause I think it was only for that fiscal year that we
To pay for the
implement
money
that
for
ordinance.
farmer's telephone, that we
Mhm.
possibly
Yeah.
could owe for farmer's telephone, that's where the hiring freeze went on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
this-
can't imagine us replacing if a recycling center person, we've had many people, either pass away or something, us not filling that position without us shutting down that operation, so we'd have to figure out a plan to do that.
Either way, what's done is done, but this was before farmer's telephone situation. This
Okay,
was
I wasn't
several
there.
years ago
Okay.
that we started, that we
Well,
did.
if we had that decline, it's just a shame that we waited till now to address it. If it was continually, for the last 4 or 5 years, going down, it's just a travesty,
Each year when those auditors come in, these ladies from, this lady here comes in and tells us. Remember one year she came in and explained to us, she said, look, y'all gonna have to have mandatory hookup on these water lines,
Right.
because you're not having a number of
Right.
hookups
We
to
did
keep
that.
up with your debt to USDA. And those are the kinds of examples that they explained to us. They want us to hold before we hit them. And we put policies in place to safeguard ourselves from falling in them. So I'd be interested to hear, what they have to say, what direction we need to go in. Because they're the experts, I'm not. I'm not a CPA, I mean, they are.
Councilman Floyd, the USDA debt is not serviced through the general fund operation. It's serviced through our debt service fund,
Oh.
so that would not impact the general fund operation.
But in any event, they advised us of what was coming, that we had to have mandatory
Okay.
hookup to keep up with the debt. Again, that's my
Right.
point. I don't know
Yeah.
where it goes through, so I just know you can't spend more money than you have.
You're right,
That's what-
Sam.
And that's what they were telling us.
And let me advise you this too, like Sam said, before it happens, you try to warn us. Now, I'm warning us now, just as the lady came here, the auditor, and said how we were falling behind. They having expenditures now, they didn't have last year. I'm willing to bet you almost every department, I'll say at least 80 or 90% of the departments, gonna have the same complaints.
They will.
What are we going to do when it comes to that? If there's a way to put something in place, we need to do it, because we're in a pickle, y'all. Now, if you got all these departments, you can't run your household on the same thing and expect the same expenses you had last year to be the expenses you have this year. It's just not feasible to think that way. So, since we're in that predicament, what are we gonna do? And it will come when it comes to the point where we got to find some money to fix these things, and they're very important, they're almost mandatory that you do them. What are we going to do at that point? Like Sam is saying now, it's coming down the pipe. What do we have in place? No contingency plan or anything. What are we gonna put in place when it happens?
Those are some good questions, and on that point,
Let me ask you this, Councilman Woods, can those folks trim some fats in their department?
Well,
You
my
know,
understanding,
some years I get to go on vacation, some years I don't.
well,
Some years I may have a good year in my law office, and some years I don't.
but maybe that.
What are they doing in their departments to show us that they're cutting down on their expenditures?
Well, let's go ahead and maybe that could be part of our contingency plan.
Yeah.
No more travel for anybody in the county, no more workshops, whatever you have to do.
Right.
We need to have something, whatever it is, I'm saying, Sam,
Right.
we need to have something in place because it's coming.
Okay.
if it is required, some
If it's mandatory,
departments
yeah.
are mandated
Then
by
you gotta go.
state.
Right.
I would say that we make an exceptions for them. If they're trying to maintain their certification and it's required by the state, they should be allowed
But
to
when,
go.
when did this put us, when it's, even though it's mandated by the state,
Mhm.
we don't have the money to do it, and we got to be legally responsible. And we've already said we're operating on our previous budget. Every time a situation that comes up, we gotta do an amendment or something, or what do we have to do? If the money is not there, and you operating, you said, on the budget we had previously,
Mhm.
and that was not in there previously, and it comes up as mandated by the state,
Well,
what are we gonna do?
But why are these, and my question is, why are these departments exceeding what's budgeted for them to spend? If they've got it budgeted,
They're
why
not
are they
exceeding.
exceeding what's budgeted in their department to
They're not
spend?
I didn't know they were doing that. I
You
didn't.
know, I mean, cause if the budget's balanced when it goes to Columbia, and then all of a sudden it comes back and says, no, we don't have this in the budget, well, it was in the budget, they exceeded what we budgeted.
Well, not necessarily.
I'm asking, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we've never had, I mean, I just.
Yeah, well, when you, on paper, your budget looked the way it looked. What is in your bank account is what you really need to pay attention to. What was on paper years ago was not balanced.
So
And
you
it's
saying
it's
these-
evident.
These folks here didn't know what they was doing the last 8 years?
They don't have anything to do with us balancing our budget. But you will see, when you meet with her, exactly what she's gonna tell you in terms of where this started from. This ain't
Okay.
just start now. This has been going on for the longest, and we have been kicking that can down the road. Now we're in a position of where, look, we gonna have to act. If not, we're gonna go bankrupt. Whether that's deciding to, A, furlough, to do reduction of salary across the board, whatever it is, we're gonna have to do something, because as you can tell, from 2017, 2018, 2019, we're continuing to build a deficit. We're
And-
not gaining anything new, just like you said, something got to give at some point, you're right.
So you're saying that these folks are gonna give me, I'm asking now,
You're
I'm not-
gonna,
I'm asking.
you're gonna hear what you need to hear.
And you're saying that's not gonna be accurate information?
I didn't say that that's not gonna be
That's
accurate
what I'm asking.
information. What I said was, your budget is different, and she will tell in there that your expenses exceeded what was budgeted for. Meaning, your, whatever money that the budget was set on and it was approved by council, your expenses still exceeded it.
We'll see,
Some of the money
we'll
in
see
your
what that
budget
say,
is-
'cause she's
is
never
the money
told us
that's
that
gonna come
before.
in, that money that's
Some
come in.
money, it was,
Yeah.
some stated revenue sources were put in there. It's a lot of stuff that occurred that you guys may not have, probably weren't aware of. That's
I
why
know
the
it.
fight is real,
Yeah.
you know?
We were told every year when these folks come in, they presented us every year, once a year, they give us about a 10-page summary.
You do.
And they give us, one of the things they've always recommended, we got too many checking accounts. They've always
That's
told us
true.
that for the last, I don't know how many years they
That's
said,
true.
you need to consolidate some of these accounts. For some reason, it never gets done. I don't know why.
I think it was reduced.
Maybe it was, maybe it finally
A
did. I
couple
know it
of-
was
a
2 or
couple
3
of-
years
a couple
ago.
of-
Maybe it did.
We can do better.
But I know it took a
Yeah.
long time,
Yeah.
because we kept saying the same thing
Yeah.
over and over. But they've never made us aware that our spending
Mhm.
is exceeding our revenue source. I've never heard that from them, ever.
Really?
No.
I don't think they verbalized it.
I think they did, how they probably verbalized it is they said that our revenues were not enough to support our expenditures. That's the way they put it,
I mean the same thing.
which means the same
That's
thing.
the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, which means the
That's
same
just a
thing.
reverse
That's the
way of saying it.
That's the way they put it, that our
said revenues
revenues
and have
were not
expenditures.
keeping up with our
What-
expenditures.
When are they coming to see
She's
us?
coming to you Tuesday, the 20th.
I wanna make sure I attend that.
Okay, let me also bring
I
to
got
your attention
He's
before
got to
you
go.
leave.
We're not, obviously, nothing happening
Sam,
right now until we come to conclusion.
Please read this. Billy's-
I'll read it. I'll read
Billy's
myself. I
supposed to
had
be on
to
this,
read
and
it
it's
for him.
something
We
that
have,
may
we
be
have a
mandated.
rating call with Moody's tomorrow. Let's pray that the rating call is successful. Cause I'm sure that Moody has heard about what's going on in Williamsburg County. Now they want a rating call,
Uh-oh.
so.
Who requested that?
Huh?
Have a good day.
Who
Well,
requested
that's
the reading?
their
Oh,
request.
that's their request. That's theirs, and let's just pray that we have a good rating call. I'm going to be very optimistic. But whatever the outcome of the call, I will advise the supervisor and council.
Is that something I need to pass on to other
Yeah,
members of
yeah.
council?
Make sure you give her all the copies you need on them.
Um,
I gave one just a week.
Okay. You got it.
I got her on the thing. You email me everything. You know you email me 100 documents a day.
Okay, so.
Let me just go over this codification. I need to go ahead and get this out in the open.
Okay.
A memo from Billy.
Mhm.
This, for Williamsburg County, codification needed to be done years ago. Another issue that's been kicked down the road. But this right here, Billy, is justifying, why it's needed. It may be law required.
Okay.
I hadn't reviewed that aspect of it, but I polled all of my sisters, my clerk to councils, and the majority of the county have codifications with their ordinances.
I agree. As soon as we find the money, then I
Yeah.
think we need to go through with that, because that's something definitely that I really thought, and you guys have been working on this prior to me taking, and once you told me about it, I thought it was a great idea for us to get our stuff in order. So, that's something that we will have to be waiting on. Any other questions?
What is our reading currently?
Our rating is right here, sir. It's a A3 for Moody's. This is for Moody's.
A3.
Yeah, it's on the cover sheet. I kinda gave y'all a summary of what's going on. But as you can say, the last statement said, we could have possibly improved. We need to get it up to an AA2, which is a medium rating for other counties, nationwide. We're at an A3, but that's not the medium.
We're gonna get this better credit rating, this is the last thing we do.
So, we do have a call, and in your document, we do have some recommendations. There is the rating process included. We do have 10 ways to improve or maintain your credit rating, which I think we all need to be aware of. And then we do have a bond rating schedule for all of the credit rating companies, so that we can not only be aware of Moody, but also Standard & Poor's. There's questions that I need to, prepare for the call. Most of them have been completed. I probably need to finish probably about 4 questions. I did our, unaudited budget surplus deficit, and we will have an ending deficit of a little over 400,000 for 18-19, the prior year, unaudited.
Liz, in reference to what Sam, was talking about, in my mind, sometimes it goes the way it's going right now.
It'll come back.
Something was
It'll
on
come
my
back.
mind, I would ask you, about something that Sam said, God, I can't remember, it might come back.
Is it in reference to
It was in
the
reference to-
freeze on the?
No,
Expenses versus revenue.
no, it was something else you said. I can't remember, maybe it'll come back, but don't heck with it. The money to come and go, going right now.
Okay, well, if you think about it later, you can just have Tammy email me and I can
Okay.
provide the question.
Okay. But we need to have something in place though, because that's it, typically these things are gonna come back, each department gonna be asking for additional money. We have nothing on them, see, the reason why this is, yeah. But it's a bad situation and we need to figure out some way to manage this thing, because it's coming up. And Liz, you the finance director, I don't know what kind of suggestions you got, because when the question was asked, of course, I don't have any suggestions. I don't know.
We don't have any suggestions, we made 4 proposals, they need to select where they want
Right.
that to go. Drew our line in the sand and said, these are your options,
Yeah.
pick one of them.
Yeah,
But they didn't want any of them.
No.
They selected a different route. That still left us in a bad
Yeah.
situation. And when that auditor gets up there and says what she needs to say, I need people to hear her.
That's right.
Because this ain't the first time she reported that we have more expenses than we have revenue. And that's in budgeted.
yeah.
You know, it's not an issue that the department heads are spending too much. It's just that we don't have enough money to support things. It's hard to project
I know.
spending.
I know.
It is.
And the only thing that really saved us from last year, from having a greater deficit, is the FEMA reimbursement.
And the money that was deposited into the account
Yeah.
from the capital
Yeah.
project sales tax.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing really that kept us from
Right.
having a greater deficit.
Right.
So when I looked at the figures, cause I have to report these figures to Moody tomorrow. And so when I'm looking at the figures and I'm like, well, thank God that we had the FEMA reimbursement came in, because we would be in a pickle
Right.
of trouble.
But Liz, has anyone asked anyone in authority during that time, when the money was deposited in the general fund, why was that money deposited in there?
Y'all
Was it
didn't
a
know.
mistake?
Y'all didn't
Council
know.
wasn't-
It didn't come to
We-
fruition.
Yeah, we didn't know.
No.
But someone knew.
Somebody.
So my question is, why was it deposited in there? Was it a mistake? Or was it deposited in there for other reasons?
I don't know. The trail says that it was paid out of the capital project sales tax. The finance department requested, I guess was thinking that it was paid out of the general fund, requested a transfer to the general fund, back to the general fund. But it was paid out of the capital project
Yeah.
sales tax fund, so I don't,
Yeah, I was trying to,
If it was a mistake, it should have just been reimbursed
Yeah.
immediately, not
Right.
spent upon, because you'll know if you got an
That's
extra
right.
close to $500,000
Yeah.
in your bank account.
yeah.
I think we noticed that, but I don't know, but I just know it landed on our plate for us to fix it. There's a lot of stuff that council don't know.
Yeah.
Y'all get a piece of paper and y'all are expected to digest that piece of paper. You don't know the backspin of that paperwork and why it came about. That's why I get frustrated, because this administration, we got to prove everything with backup statistics, research to support everything we say. Because I understand that we got burnt the last time, but hell, when I tell you that we ain't got no money, that probably mean we ain't got no money.
Yeah. And all of a sudden now, all the time, Sam, I know what I tried to say, Sam said this thing was declining for years and years, 4 or 5 years decline. Why did we wait till now to hit the bottom? Okay, something gotta be done, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna operate this. Why now?
well, I think what happened is the EMS situation
Yes.
impacted it.
Enough.
We already had some issues,
Mhm.
but when the salaries were increased for EMS, along with the FICA and retirement, almost $600,000, that impacted the situation. It was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, we were kind of getting along, you know,
Right.
with the small little deficits
Right.
of 200,000 and 300,000.
Right.
But you got new expenses, almost $600,000 added to the budget.
And if we were in the freeze of, just like they suggested, we were freezing salaries.
Right.
And that was in that time frame. Then how in the world did we end up doing increases of this
Right.
nature for EMS?
And all of us were part of that.
It's,
But see what happens when you misled, when you don't do the day-to-day
Mhm.
operation, it can, you easily can get
Mhm.
misled, and that's what happened from my perspective. Cause all we were told that they had a plan, we got a plan in place, it will not impact the budget. They were correct, it didn't impact it then, but then the next budget year,
Sustainability.
that's right.
sustained, were we able to
Right,
fund that increase year after year after
Right.
year? And the answer is
no,
no.
no,
That increase by itself is $594,163. No. Let's just round it off to say 595,000 is what that EMS
Yeah.
situation created. That's a lot.
what happened?
So if you run a small deficit of 200,000 and 300,000, then on top of that, you add another 600,000. So your deficit goes from
Almost a
three
million. Almost $1 million.
almost a million, exactly.
A gentleman told us in a meeting, without even having to see all of the paperwork, he said, y'all looking at between a $1 to $3 million deficit. That's where y'all riding on. And dang it if we ain't creeping
Yeah,
close,
I still pass it for the over.
you know.
So we just have-
Stop the hemorrhaging.
Yeah, we just have to make you aware of it.
Mhm.
You know, the expenses were not approved in the budget so that we can develop a plan to address it. So we felt like it was critical to put it out there soon than later, and someone say, well, we didn't know what was going on, why didn't you tell us? So when we identified that we had some issues, we were obligated to share it with y'all early on.
And we're open, I'm open to, allow, I mean, I think we should. Sometimes you may need to see what the bank accounts and stuff look like.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's important that y'all see that kind of stuff. That way you know, okay, they're not joking, this is serious.
That's actually true.
You know, yeah, it's part of day to day, but sometimes in order to prove our points, to say, look, this is what we transferred over, this is how much we transferred over from last year. And had it not been for the, anticipation, the tax anticipation note, we wouldn't have made the next payroll in July, the second payroll in July.
Yes.
She hadn't made sure she tucked away and put aside funding for the first part of July. I think that was the second part of July is one we wouldn't have made.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a good thing that we got the 10 early on, cause we normally get it later. And so Laura, our, bond counselor, she said to me, well, Liz, y'all normally don't do it this early. And I told her that we want to do it earlier just in case we needed the funds available. And she said, okay, I will start working on it. And it's a good thing that we got it early, because if we didn't, we would have had a struggle. I'm not saying that we were going to miss it, but we would have had a struggle trying to get the second payroll in July. The first payroll was covered.
Well, I'm glad the fallacy was cleared up, about us having an additional $1 million in the budget.
Yeah.
That was an oversight on some of the council members' part. But, and actually, I think in actuality, they were calculating the $800,000.
$40 fee in
Yeah,
there.
the $40 fee in there, that we had anticipated to balance the budget. And they concluded that that was, actual monies in the budget itself. I'm glad you straightened that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glad we got past that.
payroll was messed up. Our vendors, utilities, these issues with our parks, we got a lot of things that we need to clean up that we still got out there pending. And people are asking about them, and now they're starting to look at me like, well, you day to day, why don't you get control of it? Well, I have to get 4 votes.
Gotta do it, that's right.
Can only propose. I'm a good proposer. But other than that, if we have nothing else for the body, let us go ahead and enter, or motion for adjournment.
So move.